So from now on, from this day forward, if you go, I'm tired of the way my business is, or I'm tired of the way my economics are, or I want to change how I'm being as a parent, or I want a better relationship, these are the 3 things you hone on. Now, I'm going to give you these 3 real fast, but I'm going to give you in reverse order of importance. Why? Because I want to give you in the order most people attack them, and you'll see why most people fail. If you change the order, it's like if you know somebody's phone number and you dial it in the wrong order, you don't reach them. If you got a vault and you know the right code, but you put the wrong order, it doesn't work. You don't get the goodies inside. If I said to you, the dog bit Johnny, or Johnny bit the dog, it's the same words, but a very different experience if you're Johnny, right? So when you change sequence of things, it changes the results. And so the number one thing when people want to change, let's say they're tired of where they are physically, their body, or their relationship, or their mindset, they're being sad or depressed or angry, whatever. The number one thing people usually try to answer is the question of how. So they look for a strategy. And that makes common sense, right? I need a better strategy to get this result. Now, I'm a strategist. I've spent my entire life, I don't believe in just rah-rah BS, because in the end, that's nice, you need energy, but you need a strategy to actually make it work. And the wrong strategy is, it doesn't matter how enthusiastic you are. If your goal is to see a sunset, I'll give you a simple, silly metaphor. Your goal is to see a sunset, and you're totally positive you start running east looking for the sunset, I don't give a damn how positive you are. It's not going to work. And there are strategies in life or in business that could save you a decade. I've learned them. So I know how valuable strategy is, but you don't want to start with strategy, and there's a good reason. Because as important as strategy is, if the other 2 things aren't in place first, you'll try it. Have you ever said, people say, oh, I've already tried that, it didn't work. Oh, really? In what state of mind? How often? What did you change? What did you shift? How did you do it? People generalize, they give it a try. That'll never get the results that you want. For example, most of America, let's use America, we've got 195 countries in this room, and a lot of countries are modeling America, unfortunately, in this area. It's the highest amount of excess weight that's ever been seen in history. It's over 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. It's insane. Now, why is that? Is it because the goal or the strategy or the desire of being fit and healthy is just only the 1% know it? Or it's so expensive to be able to be fit and healthy? Or, it's so incredibly complex that no one can figure it out? Hell no. Or it's so scarce, the knowledge is so scarce. No. If I said to you right now, you told me I want to lose weight, or you want to get fit, how far would you have to go to get help? Most people, there's within a few miles of your home, there's a workout facility or YMCA or something. If not that, you can download onto your phone right now or your iPad 20 books. You can probably go online and get free courses. There's a million ways to do it. There's not one. There's so many ways, and it's available to everybody. Then why are most people overweight? Because it's not a strategy problem for most people. Get that. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have the wrong strategy. You're running east looking for a sunset, and you're like, why isn't this working? I remember, I don't know how many years ago, it was probably 12, 15 years ago, the cover of Time magazine was the Atkins diet. Anybody remember the Atkins diet? And it said that, I forget the number, I think it said 12% or 15% of Americans are on this diet. It was like the largest number of any diet that had ever been done. And I thought to myself, what are these people doing? Because if you did that diet, you had to pee on a stick because you had so much acidosis to try and balance it. And your breath was so bad, no one could get near you. What made you think this was a sustainable solution, right? You lose weight, yes, because you got someone asked you pee and get rid of all your weight and you lower your calories, you lose weight with anything. But it's not sustainable. You follow me? So strategy sometimes is the problem. Don't get me wrong. The right strategy get where you want to go, but you don't want to start there. And I'll tell you why. When you've never accomplished something before, like you've always been overweight, or you've always been broke, or you've been through multiple relationships and it's not worked out, you start saying what he said a few minutes ago. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Everything happens bad to me. Nothing goes my way. And once you believe that, it's self-fulfilling. You're not going to change because the beliefs control everything. So the strategy, most people are trying to figure out how, and you can figure out the how, but you don't want to start with how. Write this down if you would. You don't want to fall in the trap of the tyranny of how. The tyranny of how. Because when people are going to get results, they do it because they feel certain and they give their all. When you've not done something before and you're uncertain, or you've lost weight and gained it back, or been through bad relationships, or had a business and it didn't work, or whatever, what happens is we're afraid of failure. And so we don't have the same certainty because we're afraid, and we've never done it successfully. We don't have any history. So the brain goes, okay, I'm going to go lose 20 pounds. I'm going to go make $100,000, $1 billion. I'm going to create this great relationship. And it goes in your brain, and then your brain goes, who are you kidding? And so if you think about the greatest leaders in history, if you think of a Martin Luther King, when he gave I Have a Dream, his speech, he didn't know how to solve the problem. He just knew what was important and why. And he believed it with his soul. And by the way, he didn't know how, but not that many decades later, we had President Obama, whether you liked him or not, he broke that color barrier 8 years as President of the United States and was voted mostly by white people. So the world changed, not as fast as everybody wanted to, and there's still plenty to be improved. But it does change, but it doesn't always change by having the how first. It's what and why is first. When John F. Kennedy got up and said, by the end of this decade, we're going to put a man on the moon and return him to the earth, the people at NASA went, there's no way, we don't have the tools. He said, I don't care, this is what we're going to do. That's what makes you a leader. You don't have to know how first, you can get the how. But here's what you do need. You need something more than strategy. You need the right story. And when I say story, all a story is an accumulation of beliefs. If you are not succeeding, you had a story. So that last gentleman, if you listen, had a story. And the story that he had was, I'm not worth anything. Life doesn't go my way. He had several phrases like that. How many heard him when he sang it, right? And then his story changed. He could have changed any time, but his story changed to no, I must change now because the pain was too great. I have to find a way. And then he went to the event and he got a whole new set of beliefs, a whole new story he built. That no, the fact that life hasn't gone my way is a challenge of life for me to grow. It's why it happened. It's not that I'm being punished. It's I need to grow. If there's any area of your life, please hear me. If there's any area of your life where you still have pain, I want you to be able to be free of it, but I can only tell you this. You'll hang on to your pain until you find something you value more than your pain, as the First Lady described with her daughter. She decided that it wouldn't honor her daughter to live in pain, and decided to not be grateful for those 3 years would be insane. She decided, I'm going to continue to love the children in my life and still love my daughter. I'm not going to live in pain and give up my life. I value something more than my pain. Most people value their pain most of all. That's why they stay stuck with it. And they build a story around their pain. When someone doesn't lose weight, what's the number one reason they'll tell you? They'll give you a story. What do they say? I've tried what, guys? Put in the chat box. I've tried what? I've tried what? Come on, put it in the chat box. I tried, that's right, everything. Right? No, you haven't tried everything. Have you tried everything? Really? Yes, I've tried millions of ways. Millions? Well, I've tried thousands. Thousands? Well, I'm sure I've tried hundreds. Hundreds? Well, I did do these 2 stupid things that don't work over and over again. That was their idea of tried everything. If you tried everything, you'd be fit and healthy. How many agree with me on this? Make some noise if you agree, ladies and gentlemen. All right? So you have to write down, change your story, change your life. See, that's what happened to both those people if you listened. They both had an event that was so painful, and then they got sick of the pain. They hit a threshold, no more. And the only reason they changed is they got a new story, a new set of beliefs about their life. I'm not the victim anymore. Remember, he was the victim leaving his son. And all of a sudden, no, I'm the victor. I need to come back to my family. I need to build. I need to find the way through. The fact things haven't gone my way is evidence that I've got answers. I just haven't come up with them yet. Pain stays until, how many have done this? How many of you have had an event in your life that was so painful you'd never want to go through it again ever? You never want anybody you care about to go through it. But 5 or 10 years afterwards, you look back and go, I'd never want to go through it again. But I'm grateful to the God or the universe that it happened because it made me so much stronger. I know life is always happening for me, not to me, but I've got to find it. That's my job. That's not God's job. That's not the universe's job. That's mine. So if you come up with a different story, if you don't have a great relationship, what do people say? All the good ones are gone, or they're gay and I'm not, or I'm gay and they're not, or I'm non-binary and they're not, or come on. There's almost 8 billion people in this world. There's people out there that you could have the most beautiful relationship with, but your story is because you had so much pain, you don't want to go through it again, so you create a blockage, a story, a set of beliefs that limits you. If you shift that, everything shifts. But once you believe your story, you're stuck. I'll give you an example, a simple example, one you wouldn't even probably relate to. As a kid, maybe you're sitting at the table for dinner and your mom or dad says, and you're really hungry and you're starting to eat, and they say, could you get me the salt? And you think to yourself, I'm hungry, I don't want to do this. So what do you say? So, I don't know what the salt is. I don't know what the salt is. You're not lying. You don't know the exact GPS location of the salt. And your mother and father, never putting up with that crap from you. They go, you know where it is, go, get in the kitchen, get me the salt. And so you get up and you go, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. In your head, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know. You open the cupboards, look around. I don't know. It's not here. And your parents yell back, it's on the second shelf. And you're going, I don't know what the salt is. I don't know what the salt is. You look, you go, it's not here. They walk right beside you. They reach right in front of your face and they go, what is this? Who's had one of these experiences? Make some noise if you've had one of these experiences. Your eyes saw the salt, but your brain would not allow you to perceive it because you kept telling yourself a story over and over again till you created in psychology what we call a scotoma, a blind spot. It's right there in front of you. Have you ever tried to help a friend and they have a problem, you got the answer, you show it to them and they're like, no, that won't work, I've tried everything. It's because of their story. Divorce your story of limitation and marry the truth that you have unlimited possibilities if you're committed and step up and are willing to do the difficult things. And make it, divorce the story. Don't do like some people's divorce where you go hang out with that person again. This is you divorce this limiting belief, right? I'll give you an example. Sit up in your chair and let's try something. This may not work because you're in a room you know really well, but I want you to try something. Look around the room right now, wherever you are, and notice everything that's brown, even things you may not normally notice that are brown. Look around you, everywhere, anything that's brown, notice it's brown. Look behind you, look around you. Okay, please close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, tell me everything you just saw that was red. Now, if you're seeing a lot more brown than red, say yes for those out there. Good, now open your eyes. Everyone open your eyes and look for red. Look for red. Anywhere you can find red, look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box or raise your hand, say yes if you found a lot more red now. Here's my question. Why did you find more red? Because seek and ye shall find, it says in a very good book called The Good Book, right? So it's like whatever we look for, we're going to find. We'll even find stuff that's not there. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Once you believe something, once you lock into something, how many of you saw beige colored things, called it brown just to feel successful? Come on, make some noise if you did it. How many saw burgundy, called it red? So if you start believing the story, there's something wrong with me, you're going to find things that are wrong with you even if they're not. If you think somebody's horrible, you're going to find horrible things in them, even if they're not. If you believe someone's your friend and they treat you badly, you're going to rationalize they're having a bad day, and you'll find how they're still your good friend, won't you? So our beliefs, our story, are the glue that either holds us in place of limitation or holds us in place so we can go for progress. Because you're not going to implement the story if you believe all the good ones are gone, or I've tried everything. You follow me? Or I'm just not made for this. So what I do in all my seminars, every seminar I do has a section where we shift your beliefs. We find the most limiting beliefs and we annihilate them. I say annihilate them so they're no longer in your body. They're not intellectual. How many of you have some beliefs that intellectually you know better, but emotionally they get you at times? Who can relate to this? Make some noise when you relate to this, right? So you got to break that pattern. And then finally, the order really needs to start with the other S, the first one, which is state. See, your mental emotional state controls everything. The reason we do a little clapping, a little moving, and I'm doing this right now and I've got little small screens, but when we do the seminar, I have 25,000 square feet. We've literally got 20-foot high LED walls. I can see everybody in the world, all of you huge. I can see your name, I see your kids, I see what's going on. So here I can just see the people that are in Zoom. I can't see you guys at home there doing YouTube or Facebook, but I got enough of you to see what's really going on. But what we're doing is changing state. You move, you breathe, you shift everything. Now, and I'll give you an example when I say state. Have you ever gotten pissed off at somebody, really mad at somebody, and then as you get pissed off at them, you can suddenly remember everything they've ever done that's pissed you off? Who knows what I'm talking about? Make some noise out there. Give me some thumbs up on the wall there, right? But look at the opposite. You ever fallen head over heels in love? So here's my question. When you're really in love with somebody, what will you do for them? What will you do for them? Come on, tell me. Put it in the chat box. Yeah, that's right. Everything, anything, right? If somebody who totally head over heels in love says, would you take out the trash? We go, take out the trash. Here you go. I'm happy to do it. What else can I do for you? Right? And then, but what happens after about 7 days or 7 weeks or 7 months or 7 years or 70 years, somewhere between 7 days and 70 years, they go, could you take out the trash? You go, what do I look like, your janitor? I don't know what happened. We used to be so close. We used to have so much passion. Right? So what you have to understand is your state affects your story, doesn't it? When you're in love, what's wrong with the world? You go, we have no money, but we're in love. It's okay. Right? Isn't it true? Who knows what I'm talking about here? Come on, who knows what I'm talking about? So your mental, emotional state is the most powerful thing in your life, and most of us let it be programmed by the external world. In fact, most of it's being programmed by the news or social media news. It follows you. Now, most of us know these people in the news and media, they're not bad people, they're good people, they're doing their job. What's their job? Get your attention. They get paid to get your attention. And one thing gets your attention more than anything else, upsetting things. Things will make you angry or sad or fearful. That's why in journalism it's always been said, if it bleeds, it leads. There's millions of beautiful things happening, but you never notice because we don't experience life. We experience life we focus on. If you're really pissed off, you're focused on the things that upset you and you're forgetting all the things you could be grateful for, like this beautiful woman did with her daughter. And if you're really happy, you're deleting all the things you could be pissed off about and focusing on what matters. You don't experience life. We don't. We experience the life we focus on. But your focus is affected by your state, which then creates a story that controls your focus. And then the strategy is not going to work if your state and your story are negative. You're not going to find it if they're saying it's impossible or it never has worked, it never does. It's all self-fulfilling. You're looking for brown, you find it everywhere. You color things brown that aren't brown. Think of state as the most important thing of all. And here's what you need to know. Your mental emotional state can be changed so easily, but most of us don't know it. Most of you turn on certain music. That's one way you change state. Some people eat to change state. Unfortunately, that has side effects, especially if you eat the wrong things. That's what a lot of people do. They're emotional, they eat, right? What other ways do people change their state? They change their focus to change their state. They go shopping or do something, right? But you can also change your state in ways that don't have a downside, smoking, drinking, etc. You can do it just by movement. In fact, I've been teaching for 45 years, this blows my mind, that changing your body, called physiology, the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you use your voice, instantly changes biochemistry. Stanford just did the study and showed it again. But it's been about 6 years. I think Harvard did a study and proved what I've been sharing with people scientifically for years. Theirs was just on power postures, they called it. Power postures were, well, let me show you. If you stand up, let's try something just for a moment. Stand up if you would, and I'll show you something. They found that if you stand like Wonder Woman or Superman, with your hands are right here on your hips, your shoulders are back, you're breathing fully, right, your head's up, and you do this just for 2 minutes like this, this is what happens. Whether you're a man or woman doesn't matter. Your testosterone increases 20% in your bloodstream. Now that gives you drive. The stress hormone, which is called cortisol, drops 25% after 2 minutes of doing this. And your risk tolerance, your willingness to take the risk, is increased by 33%. Now, I don't teach people to stand here, with their shoulders back and do this. By the way, you can do the same thing. The guy who's obnoxious in the meeting, who's got his legs back and his arms back like this, will produce the same biochemistry, by the way. So you can sit down. But what I do is I use movement and your voice. See, the way you move with voice is more dynamic than just the still movement. But they prove that 2 minutes of that alone will change your biochemistry. So when we move, we dance, we clap, we use our voice, that changes a profound change. And again, I'll walk you through this when we walk through a little bit the Stanford study and why a year after the program, a year after Unleash the Power Within, these people's lives are still changed so radically. Because biochemically, you're rewired differently, not by taking a drug, by directly wiring yourself. So your state can be changed by movement, by voice. By the way, what does a person who's depressed look like? If I said to you, I'm going to give you a $100,000 donation to your favorite charity, and there's a person who's depressed behind curtain number 1, if you can describe their way they're being physically, I'll give you the money. I bet you could do it. If they're depressed, tell me, where are their shoulders? How do you know this? Because you've practiced this shit at some point, haven't you? Come on. But if you take that same person and you change the way they move, the way they breathe, they use their voice, you instantly change their biochemistry. And now in a new state, you have a different story about life. And now, if I didn't have the strategy, if you don't have the strategy, you'll find it or you'll make one. How many follow this? Say I. So for the rest of your life, this is what I want you to get. For the rest of your life, if you want to accelerate the pace at which you achieve something or you create a breakthrough, first you got to get leverage to say, this is happening now. And then all you got to do is put yourself in the right state. That's why it happens now. You know, she said, the first young lady said that she was there and she had this energy in her body. Well, that's what we were doing in the seminar, and she made the decision from there. If I made the decision from here, it's not going to have much. Like if you have the perfect dough or pie or whatever it is, and you put it in the oven, and it's supposed to be at 625, and you put it at 25 degrees, you're going to get mush. And that's what people do with their lives. This is 25 degrees. Okay, yeah, right, I know. I've tried that stuff. It doesn't work. Versus, we're doing this right now. And so you got to train that into your nervous system. That's what I do. And that's what we're going to do if you're willing to. A couple hours a day, we'll do this a little bit in and out, not obnoxiously. I mean, my biggest challenge is my shortest thing I do is 50 hours. It's usually the shortest day is 12 hours. And we're trying to do it here in 2 hours and some change on today. So if this makes sense to you, if you say, man, I want to change my body, I want to change my emotion, I'm going to start with my state, I'm going to come up with a better story, then I'll get the strategy. If that makes sense to you and you're going to use this, say I. Say I. Awesome. Now I want to give you one last tool before we go, and this is really simple but valuable. And it's experiential. Because some things, I like to do things where you're not just writing notes, but you feel it. So most of you, who's ever gotten stuck? And you might be stuck right now with something. In some areas of your life are great. Who's ever gotten really stuck? Right? When we get stuck and not able to turn things around, it's not that we're not capable of turning it around. It's just that we get stuck using only a part of ourselves.